Well, that was kind of unexpected. Not to say that we shouldn't have a few votes like that this season, just goes to show you how quickly you can go from penthouse to no house, although technically they have no house. On the get go, right? So not only was that end vote kind of surprising, but I was also shocked that the merge didn't happen this episode because you had 8 people on the edge. So that leaves 12 people in the game. Have the last one come back, and then bam, you've got it. But since you have the edge, anyone who's still around by day 36 is a jury member, though obviously we're not going to have Sandra in that field. More on that in a minute. So I guess technically it doesn't matter where you do the start of the merge, and since you're going to need presumably 19 tribals, you've had 9 now, and then you have 10 in the merge. It's not unreasonable, but whatever. Who knows what goes on in production's minds any more, and they delight in not telling us. Especially since there was a reward challenge that they didn't show, because when everyone goes in there for the immunity challenge and there's no mention of a reward, plus no one is shocked that Sandra or Pav aren't in the game anymore, I really wish we could have seen those reactions. I mean, like, rarely ever does a player being voted out influence any future votes, but still, it helps get into these people's minds, you know? And I really wish we had that, but of course, they have to cut stuff. Okay. So Pav and Sandra arrive on the edge, and Sandra says that she doesn't want to stay there for 20 plus days, and announces that she's gonna raise the sail, and that really disappointed me because okay, had she done what Keith and Whitney did in Edge of Extinction, well, they stayed around till the first challenge, didn't get in, and then were faced with the prospect of, yeah, we've made it to the merge and a part of the jury, but in order to stay as part of the jury, we have to stay out here on this island. And also, even though we did get pretty far in that challenge, clearly there's a good amount of other challenge beasts both here and in the game, so it's just bad against us. Well, that's better if you ask me. I mean, I was a little disappointed that they quit, but at the same time, those two, Keith and Whitney, they were the 2 people on the edge that I didn't really like, so at the same time, I'm like, not a big loss. And Sandra herself admits she's terrible at challenges. The only time I think she's ever won a challenge is because of being invited on a challenge, or it was a group reward, and even then I don't think she had many victories there. Yeah, because in HVV, really there were only like 2 or 3 rewards, and Colby Manda Danielle won the first one, and then she was invited on Jerry, and then Pearl Islands. She didn't win Final 6, didn't win Final 5, didn't win 9 or 8, I think. Right, so, okay. She does suck at the challenges, and the idea that you are part of the jury, but you have to wait around on that Edge of Extinction Island doing almost next to nothing for that long amount of time. I'll admit that would kind of get to me, but I guess production doesn't want to have to deal with people in too many different locations, because having to deal with 3 different tribes, Edge of Extinction, and supervising people in Ponderosa, making sure that they don't leave or communicate with the outside world besides emergencies. And even though those would be pretty low, I guess I get it. Though I'm a little surprised at the same time that Sandra doesn't consider her jury vote to be worth much. You know, the two-time winner and arguably slightly more impressive with her second victory, because in HVV, the only time that it was a guarantee that a former winner would win the game was after Jerry was voted out, because Russell had no shot at all of winning that game. So it wasn't until the end that it was a guarantee. Here, from the very first second, it was a guarantee that a former winner would win. Yeah, it could have been Sandra, okay, but she's still a former winner. Right. So, I'll admit I'm disappointed by that, especially since if no one else quits, we have the potential for a 8-8 tie-breaking situation, and who knows, someone might quit given how many people are going to show up there. And like Ethan, he's saying that he doesn't want to raise the sale, but he is nervous about his immune system becoming more compromised and the cancer having a slight potential to return, and I'd be nervous in his situation. I mean, to survive cancer twice? I didn't know it was twice. I can't blame him. I can't. Really, I mean, like, my family has no real history of cancer, but does that kind of scare me? Yeah. Okay, and then also her comment of, give it to Denise for me, even though she said that in a fairly cheerful move for the subject matter, that did kind of hurt my thoughts on Sandra there, just... Come on, Sandra. Oh, geez. Over 7 minutes of just talking about Sandra and Edge dynamics. Well, let's finish up the Edge dynamics that scurried to get the fire token bit. It was a little disconcerting due to the fact that they did show everything out of order, but I guess they figured it would have been even more confusing to show Rob and Tyson in different locations, and it does allow us to laugh at how Rob's like, ugh, I'm pooped out, when he got everything except for one. So there is some humor to that, but the fact that they clearly, the producers, want to have us focus more on the people that are in the actual game makes me think that some of what could happen on the Edge isn't going to be huge with these fire tokens, because unless people keep finding advantages that they can give to people in the game, it seems like all they can buy on the Edge, based on what Tyson said in the last episode, is food for them, an idol that they hang onto and hope that they get back in the game, or an advantage in the battle backs, which I think really is the term that's used for these things, because I know Rob Sesternino and Dalton Ross used it, so I guess they aren't going to have advantages in the challenge on the Edge itself anymore, which I'm glad about. And since Rob and not Sandra, Natalie have excess tokens, maybe they will do that. We'll have to see. Okay, enough about Edge stuff, talking about in-game. First of all, we got the Red Tribe, where Kim is trying to make good with Denise, and it seems like there's a decent bond going on there, but again, it kind of goes to show that, well, Kim is trying to form relationships with people. I think it's going to be more that she'll be more the receptive person in the friendship, alliance, partnership, group dynamic, whatever you want to call it. But I am curious to see what Denise will do with this, especially if she includes Jeremy or Adam. Well, if Adam and her reunite, he's definitely going to go back to her. Jeremy, haven't totally gotten into this guy's head that much this time because he's not initiating too much. You can argue that he wasn't doing that in Cambodia, but there was certain lines that he said to Steven and Spencer before the merge that made me realize, yeah, he's doing stuff. Green Tribe. I would have really liked to have seen what this group would have done had they gone to Tribal, because it would have been really interesting to see who the girls would have kept. And Adam getting super paranoid about the idol, and he's like, if I'm wrong about this, I'm going to totally kill myself. But I'm usually right when I feel like this when it comes to Survivor stuff. And of course, he is right that the idol has been found, and they've had quite a decent amount of days to find the idol, and everyone there is a reasonable idol advantage getter. I think the only person that hadn't done that in their original season was Sophie, but that was because the only advantages there were the tribe idols, and Ozzy found one, and Coach found the other one, but I think he had other people there with him. Let's see here. That's about it for the Green Tribe. Then, as for Blue Tribe, we got more insight into what Yule and Nick thought about Wendell's explosions, and they definitely don't like it, but they aren't super specific as to why, and even then, I don't want to be 100% anti-Wendell here, because there's a bit of real feelings being mixed into the game here, though Dominic, in an interview that he gave with Dalton Ross, indicated that he does think that Wendell is playing a different game now, in this part of the game especially, so Wendell's comment of, let me play my game, it makes sense. And also, I don't want you to think that I'm mostly trying to throw my support with Michelle with her hurt feelings here just because Pav bequeathed her fire token, so she's the last vestige of the Boston Rob and Pav trickled down the line. No. I would have felt this way for her regardless of how many fire tokens she had. And as I said before, I do not ever think I was ever anti-Michelle in co-run. I just wanted Aubrey to win over her. That's it. And when I started watching that season proper after giving up 2 or 3 episodes in the first time, when we watched that first episode, I was like, actually, I think I'm going to have to keep an eye on these beauty girls. I think that they've got something to offer. So I just want to remind you all of that, and it's nice to see her giving more insight. Yeah, she's not doing too much actual gameplay, mostly because there's not much for her to do, but she's still making an impact in here, which I like. That challenge, I was totally thinking that it would be Red losing based on the difference of camera time, and Blue got the camera time so early in the episode, I actually forgot that they had a camera time. It wasn't until I was done with the episode that I was like, oh yeah, we did hear stuff from them. And so they lost by like 1.5 seconds or something like that. That's about as close as you can get. And do I think Wendell saying, hey pros, get over here was trash talk? The tone that he said it in indicated that it was, but I don't know if that's really what he was thinking, but it didn't help him by any stretch of the imagination, regardless if it was trash talk or not. So they get back, and the momentum has totally swung against Wendell because Yule's like, okay, we're gonna vote for Wendell, but we tell Wendell we're voting Michelle. And Nick's like, oh yeah, totally. And it's not just because I'll do whatever you say, Yule. It's, oh yeah, let's get rid of this guy. Totally. He was on board with it. But then just coincidental sayings that Wendell points out and then Yule does about totally coming up with this overly descriptive view on the impact that fire-making tokens have. Like, you had thought that those lines through so much that it begins to make Nick and Michelle go, hey, wait a minute. Wendell's gonna presumably keep running his mouth off here, which is why I didn't put him as a top pick in Ghost Island, because what he kept saying when he and Dominic were taking out Chris, I'm like, this guy's gonna totally shoot himself in the foot. Well, honestly, that didn't happen, but it looked like it. And then they're like, but Yule, this is what Yule does. He keeps this up, he could easily get there. And then that was enough to sway them. So it's just hilarious how Nick loses this challenge both times, although he did get further this time. Both times that he's there, he's on a tribe of 4, and both times he's part of the swing vote, and the person that you didn't think was going to leave, leaves. That's just craziness. Talk about coincidental timing. I mean, especially since it's also the last challenge before the merge, because I don't see how they're going to do a merge with less than half of the people, because the last time they did this was Cook Islands, but that's really stressing less than half, because Gaboon also had a delayed merge, but that was literally half of the people. The same thing with All Stars, right? I think we're done with small merges. I think it's just big merge. That really does justify the quotes, because big is now the norm. That's just an assumption there. I haven't looked at any next time bits. I don't look at those anymore. So if it truly is the merge next episode or the one after that, who is going to come back from the edge, provided they even do a battle back, though I don't see why they wouldn't, because again, the precedence has been set. Tyson seems the most obvious bet, but quite a lot of people I think would be throwing Natalie in there as good competition. Sure, Rob has more final tokens than Tyson, but as I've said, Rob's getting them kind of old now, and Tyson, I think he's still got it, he just hasn't demonstrated it that much, given how while he and Rob were both still in the game, Blue was getting more camera time, but now we've gotten enough camera time from all the red people left in the game that it's pretty even playing field within the actual game. Now it all depends on how much the Edge is going to shake this up. So I'm still enjoying this season. I don't think these vids are the best organized, but I'm definitely enjoying this, and I'm really hoping that it stays this way. Sure, a lot of the favorites that I had her out, but I knew that this would happen to Rob and Parv, and while Tyson was never a favorite of mine, I predicted that this would happen. So let's just keep at it, because I'm still rooting for most of these people, though I'm still not rooting for Ben, and I wish Adam would become a little bit more positive. Because I did like Adam in Millennials. Here, I mean, like, I like the entertainment he's providing, but I hate to say this, he's a gimmick. And a winner that's a gimmick, I'd rather not have. And it would also be nice to see Tony making some more strategic decisions rather than running around, because that's pretty much what he's been doing this whole season. I'd like to see that. I know that I mentioned that there's a couple of other people that we need to get more into the minds of, but that I'm sure will happen. We've got tons more tribals for it to happen, now, especially if the merge does happen. Okay, this has gone on long enough. See ya.